So, Matt, I thought we might just start off. I'm here in this amazing space called the Running Room, and with great friend Alex. And he's a movement specialist. That's my really loose way of explaining how he helps people in life. But Matt, I thought I might just start off with you just talking about your story in terms of physical activity and movement and running and how you got into it and what you've sort of learned about people and from people along the way.
Absolutely, mate. Thanks for coming too, by the way.
Mate,
appreciate that.
It's an amazing spot.
Well, I suppose my journey began. I've always been big into sport. You know, as a kid, I loved my cricket and AFL and played a lot of footy and things like that. I mean, looking at me, I was never, built like a runner or anything like that. And I think my definition, probably the definition of like the wider community is changing of what a runner typically looks like, because I think the running space has changed massively over the last, probably 10 years and it's continuing to grow bigger and bigger. So I'm a physiotherapist and I started my career down in Melbourne. I actually finished my degree in New York and I was exposed to, my mentor over there was exposed to a lot of runners and triathletes, and that's probably where I got first introduced to this concept of treating runners primarily, and really kind of worked on his craft and saw how he went about it, and just probably the way he was able to help people and what running really meant to people, and beyond the race or beyond the winning or anything like that, but what it meant more to their lives and their personal, professional, and their mental well-being as well. So I moved up to Sydney about 4 or 5 years ago and started treating runners. I treat them in a bit of a different way. So I use an instrument, a treadmill, which is like a treadmill that you typically see in an elite setting or in university or research world. And my goal was to really bring that technology to the everyday individual and see if we could make a difference in people's movements and can we keep them running. And that's what I started. That's how the Running Room was born, and I just went from there, and it's grown pretty quickly. So I always thought while I was getting into it was probably to help runners run better and faster and all of that stuff. But I think I've really changed my tune over the last 3 years in the learnings that I've had, and it's a question that I always ask every runner who walks in this place is finally on my subjective form when I ask them, I look at them and say, why do you run? And the answers really surprised me, and as I've gone on over this journey for the last 3 or 4 years, there's really a common theme is that a lot of it's for mental well-being, mental wellness and staying physically but also mentally well. So that's what I love about it, mate, is really helping people to stay active because it's such a big, important part of their lives, and it doesn't have to be running. We treat a lot of gym goers as well, but physical activity serves as a massive space to keep people healthy.
Yeah, it's so true, isn't it? I mean, there's a stack of research out there, but we all know just from our own personal experience. You get out for a walk or a run or a swim, or depending where you are in the world and what you're into, it you feel better.
Changes your day, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I had a little experience just a few days ago where Nayeli, my beautiful partner, she's been working from home and working hard, and was having a super kind of low day. Like mentally she was feeling it tough, and and been stuck at the screen and all those classic things. And I had to kind of coax her, but I eventually got her out. I just said, let's go for a 5-minute run, just literally around the block. And we got out, and the wind was blowing a little bit and kind of, blew off the cobwebs and just looking at the trees. And of course we're lucky enough to run past a little bit of ocean as we did that. But just the act of getting out, the transformation in her in 5 minutes, it was like, honestly, it's 4 blocks or something, but just, it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon and she was flying for the rest of the day and she was smiling. It's so incredible how just the smallest drop of it can help people.
Most definitely, and I think you touch on a really good point that you don't have to run for hours and hours to get these benefits. It can be as simple as going for that quick little run that can immediately make you feel better, and as much as sometimes you don't want to do it, it's been a hard day, but lacing up those shoes and just getting out there for a really short run is really powerful. So It's been something I've been thinking about a bit. I've kind of been getting right back into my running in the last, probably few months. But again, I'm not built like a runner, but I still really love doing it. And so going down, I live on the northern beaches like yourself, and running around the Narrabeen Lake there is such a beautiful place to be. And I think that I was thinking about this the other day on a run, is that, often if we can change our mentality from what are you running from to what are you running for, I think that's really powerful. And I think it's, it really shifts you into that kind of growth and that gratitude, and I think that's really positive. And so, I often think about that as I'm running, and always think about, I'm running to clear my head, but I'm also running to fill my head, with creative thoughts. And I think that's a big part of it for a lot of people as well, is being able to tune into yourself, whether that's, through your breath in a different way. You might be, a bit more effortful in your breath, and I think that's a really powerful thing as well, is just being aware of that and trying to slow that down and looking around and looking at nature. And it's a beautiful thing, mate.
And that's such a great reframe, like what you're running for. And I think it's really helpful for people, because we live in such a world where we're so busy, right?
Yeah.
And it's become like an addiction for us.
Yeah.
And so our minds just get more and more full. And like I find for sure, I'm no runner either, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And whether I was, in my time in London or, obviously up on the beaches here, no matter where I've been, I know that when I get out and run or do some exercise, my head clears.
Yeah.
And that's the first benefit I find.
Yeah.
For me. There's obviously a physical benefit of getting out, and starting to, you can feel the energy levels rising.
Yeah.
But just the clearing of the head.
Most definitely.
Especially if it's like in the middle of the day, or to start the day, or to finish the day, to get the kind of to-do list out of your head.
Yeah.
Just to clear the mind first. And as you said, like once our mind is clear, that's when we kind of get space for inspiration and creativity. It's
Absolutely.
like the shower moment. Where did the idea come from?
Yeah.
It's often there, because you can't get that from just trying to wring the already dry sponge that is your brain, because it's been so busy all day. If you're trying to come up with an idea or a solution, right, or adapt in this world or whatever it might be, it's a much harder place to do it from a place where your mind is full and busy, from where it's empty, and therefore it has the space to look at things from different perspectives.
Yeah.
It's such a great way of...
And try and find that flow, I think there's something with that running, that reciprocal pattern of getting into a bit of flow, that flow state. I think that's powerful. And I don't know, something that just came up for me then was, as we both sit here, and there is these kind of preconceived ideas that are instilled in us, even as we talk here. And I said, I'm not really a runner, and you say the same thing, but we are all runners. Like we can all run, and it really is like, I'd urge anyone who's trying to get into it or wants to experience that feeling. It doesn't matter how far you're going. It doesn't matter how fast you're moving. If you're out there, you're out there, right? And that can be a walk and a jog. It can be 1 minute on, 1 minute off. It can be 10 Ks or 2. It really doesn't matter. And I think that's probably the beautiful thing about running as well. It doesn't discriminate. Anyone can do it, and all you need is a pair of shoes. And sometimes, to be honest, if you're going to run short distances, that's not even a barrier at all. Like you can get on the soft sand and go for a cheeky little trot and always come back feeling better. So, yeah, mate, you know me pretty well, but I'm super passionate about what I do, and super grateful, mate, and humbled to be able to, get up every day and do, what I call is work. It doesn't feel like work ever to me. I love this beautiful space that we're sitting in here now, and it's light filled, and treating people who love to move is a beautiful thing, and keeping those people moving is something I'm truly grateful for, because I think, you're making a difference to someone's well-being and really someone's life. I mean, we've treated a lot of runners here who, when they can't run, they really suffer. And I think, I'm truly humbled and grateful to be able to get up every day and help the community, man. I think it's, it's a beautiful thing to give back.
It is. I know from a personal experience, that what you do helps, and for me, even that short period on the treadmill, all those months ago, it was less about like technically understanding my gait or like how my running style or anything. I actually can't remember much about that. In terms of all the technical aspects, but what you did just bring me into was being more aware of my body. you know. And that's something that, like whether it's posture, you probably find in this video right now I've been slapped, you know? And it's, but that's all, you know, like just, it's never going to be perfect, but to become more aware of it, and I think that's something that you know, like as well as getting people up and mobile and running, the awareness of how we are and how we live in our body is like such an important thing.
Yeah, and I mean a big part of your work as well, mate, when you know might be, you know, guiding someone through a meditation or something like that, is the breath component. I think, you know, a lot of us out there don't think about our breath ever, you know, and if you can be forced to have to think about that by doing an activity like running, where you're actually, geez, you know, I'm starting to breathe here, I think that can be powerful as well to just tune into that. I think we always talk about this here in what we do, is that we want to take people on a journey, and yes, we use like technical, you know, analysis using a treadmill with a pressure plate, but I don't think that's probably the thing that makes us stand out. I think it is that, it's the journey, and I really love that. It's the journey of taking someone from a goal they didn't think was possible, an injury they thought they'd never get over, to achieving that goal and maybe looking at what holds, you know, what they want to do in the future. And that's powerful, mate. I think that journey is it's running, but it's also life, right? You know, it's a continual journey, and I think if people are, you know, using running as a vessel for growth, again, mate, like it's a beautiful thing, and super grateful to do what I do.
Well, man, I think a big part, certainly what I know, and friends of mine as well who have, you know, been lucky enough to work with you, and just how you are as a human. And it's the same with anyone who's in this space, that you really care, you know, and so that comes through. It's not like you turn up for a half-hour treatment or 40-minute treatment or a running session or whatever, but you care, right? You and you're not trying to force your worldview on those people. You try and work out why they're running, why exercising is important to them, and then help them on their journey. So it could be, like you said, it could just be someone who's just getting into it.
Exactly
right. It might be just trying to lose weight or something.
Exactly right.
And so as a result, the approach you take is going to be drastically different to a semi-pro runner or pro runner or something. And I think that like the way that you drop in sync with people and connect with people, I think is like super powerful. And I really find that it doesn't matter what walk of life it is. You know, like if I talk about the business world, the people that are fantastic at what they do, whether they're business leaders or whether they're practitioners, they're people who like will meet someone on the bridge. Right? All of your expertise and experience and knowledge is there, but you want to know about that person first. Right? And you want to know how your two worlds come together to make like this kind of mutual gain, I guess. You know, just make life better.
We talk about this a lot, you know, in what my approach, and it's always authentic connection. You know, connecting with, and that doesn't just have to be with people, but connecting with nature and being authentic about it and true to yourself and true to, you know, others. And I think if everyone approaches it with that authenticity, it's a powerful thing, you know, truly caring about the individual in front of you or the community you're around or the nature that you're in. I think, you know, that's truly powerful, and that's something I always try and live by, is that authenticity and authentic connection.
Well, I think that like you talked about it earlier, like you started off, you know, part of you started off in New York learning the skills, and then you started to realize the mental health benefit for people, right? And that's been such a huge part of your own life journey. That's why you're authentic, right? That's why you care, is because, you know, some of the most challenging aspects of mental health, you know, have touched your life.
Exactly right.
And so your, like, part of your deep purpose is to help anyone going through 100%. That. And it's like your language or your skill is motion and running.
Exactly right.
But actually what you're helping them with is like this, and an emotional and kind of a psychological state of wellness that exercise can get us into.
Yeah, mate, I totally agree with that. You know, I mean, you're aware of this. I lost my best mate to suicide, and since that moment, you know, I've really been looking for ways to give back to others. You know, and people shouldn't feel like they're alone. And I think that running, it's really interesting. Like, running's seen as somewhat of an individual sport, but when you actually engulf yourself within the running community, you'll know that it's not an individual sport at all. Like this community is truly powerful. So, I mean, I would urge anyone who's potentially struggling out there to start running and look up their local running club or reach out to us, and I can point you in numerous directions where there's such powerful, great communities around here that are doing things for a very similar reason. And I think, everyone's got their story and everyone's got their struggle, but if we can come together and use physical activity, which we know helps a huge amount with mental wellness, but bring these people together and inspire people to change and to be better and to help each other and connect, I think, man, it's truly hugely powerful and beneficial for everyone. And what you'll get out of it is huge for yourself, but what you'll actually give to other people in doing that is probably even bigger. And I think that's it's for me kind of the meaning of it all, mate, giving back.
Thank you so much,
brother. I appreciate you coming down, mate.
It's always good to catch up.
Thank you. Cheers, brother.
To cut the non-COVID hug.
Yeah.